after you guys left Petco, so did you buy something there that time, or?
The second time, yes.
Okay.
And I know she kept asking me about what was Gannon doing, what was he, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to say this about getting back.
Okay.
So everyone has been, about this whole thing about camera footage and this happened because we didn't see this or didn't see this. So I'm very sorry.
What do you mean, everyone?
So, my whole family is being harassed. My mom is being threatened to be killed. My daughter is being stalked. That's why it took me a while to get here, because I had to put some safety measures in for her own well-being.
Okay.
And my family from back home is being threatened. People are saying they're sending people after them.
Okay.
All those things. So, there's always a world of people making situations and saying, let's be a good person, but then threaten someone else.
Okay.
And so being aware of that's what was going on. So in between all that and all these people were sending me messages that people were saying and blah, blah, blah. I didn't respond to any of them. During all that, there was something along the lines of someone checked neighbors 2 doors down or something, camera footage, and never saw anyone do this or that. I don't know, specifics. But my point behind telling you that is, if this is what you guys, and I'm not saying this is what you're basing stuff on, if this is what you're basing stuff on, is in this day and age, timelines, security, things like that, you will see on somebody's security, Gannon and I run to the car at 10 something that morning and be returning at 2 something.
Okay.
So I remember specifically in the truck, I pulled it right in front of the ring. And
Your ring?
Yes, but we don't have a subscription.
Okay.
But according to these neighbors who can see all the way to the truck every day, they should be able to show you during those time frames that we run in, we run out, he runs back in, or whatever.
Okay. And then, so you leave around 10 something, and then you get back around 2 something.
I feel like it was 2:35, 2:25, 2 something.
Okay.
Because I knew I had to be back in time to do a couple things, and then I knew Lane would be coming there. I knew Harley would be getting off work, yada, yada, yada.
All right, Chase, what do you got?
She just uses those words what was Gannon doing, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And she thinks there's some intellectual thing about saying that, I could give you all these details, but I'm just going to say this because it's, I'm a little busy right now. I don't have time to go into all the details for you. But then she has this finished hand gesture when she's saying getting back. And I'm sure y'all won't dig into that. And what we're seeing here, according to me, is the triangle of guilt. So the first part of the triangle of guilt is guilt. Acting in ways to alleviate some internal feelings of guilt, like confessing indirectly to other things so that they feel some sense of relief, or they're building rapport so the interrogators feel less threatening. The second element of this triangle is fear. This is the fear of being caught. It is obviously pretty huge here. And this causes a lot of nervousness, a lot of stress behaviors, and guilty people will typically move faster in interrogations, their gestures and movements will be more rapid. This also comes in the form of permissive behavior that reasonable, innocent people don't feel the need to display at all. Finally, is a desire to control the narrative, shifting stories, changing subjects, details in the wrong place. All the details are around the wrong places here. Then there's ambiguous blame shifting. That's the final part of this controlling the narrative. Ambiguity is just introduced in every possible element here. So she's placing a tremendous amount of focus on every detail to help the police. But the crime occurred in the home, just like what Greg was saying a second ago. And she was in the home, I think, in this story. I think anyone over the age of 10 with an IQ over room temperature would know the details about the trip to the pet supply store would be irrelevant. Anybody at the age of 10. So if you just think about this, it's another example of a detail valley and a detail mountain. The detail valley starts precisely when the crime starts being talked about. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, let's talk about where the details are. When we talk about a criminal case, we talk about something that has gone on. When a person spikes their details around evidence, you should go, something is up. And when I say evidence, I mean evidence that wrongdoing has occurred. All the places that something could create evidence against her, like walking back and forth to the door of the store to look and see what's going on in her car, that's a piece of evidence. Like hiring a guy and giving him a code to her door, that's a piece of evidence. We'll see some others here. You see that she's got a couple of others. So every place we look, let's look for, is it evidence? Is it something that a police officer could possibly use to break your story? And she's going to be preemptive. She's going to go after the evidence issue she knows will be a problem. That tells you something, because she is jacked way up energy-wise. Unless she just came in there on 5-hour energy or some other chemical substance, she's jacked up. And you know what jacks you up? Adrenaline. You know what causes adrenaline? Your amygdala. Now, I don't know if hers worked right, but hers worked clearly, because she's jacked through the roof. And what we're seeing is what kept her up at night, the things she wants to talk about. Not where is my kid, not where is this kid, where's the Mexican guy or Hispanic guy who came in the door. It's none of that. It's, hey, I want to talk about seeing me on a Ring camera. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. That's a problem. That's a source lead too, because when a person tells you what they want to talk about, let's take that to the mat and tear it to pieces. This is when questioning who, what, when, where, why, how, what else, all that would take this story to pieces. They do a good job of letting her talk, and that's important. Now she starts some new hand movement we haven't seen, like she's spellcasting or something, trying to persuade people, but she's loaded her leg under the other leg, which I find interesting. But her elbows are still welded to her side as she's doing her hands like this. It looks unnatural and it looks foolish. Wait till later when she gets down to where she's a T-Rex and can't even touch her own face. She gets worse and worse and worse. Then she's overly specific until she gets down to the things that matter back at the house, this and that. I don't know specifics. And then she says, there's a point. Of course there's a point, because you have a story. You're now trying to deconflict. Somebody's asked you a question. You have to defend that information, go back and deconflict the new words you put into there. And she has a master's in curriculum design, which means she's probably thinking about how blocks go together, how people think and how stuff goes together. That helps her to put these things together. And another big regulator mark is she thrusts her hands forward and says, if what you guys are basing it on, after she does that, she goes to batter on deck and starts rubbing her thighs with her hand to release nervous energy. Scott, what do you got?
All right. This detective down here is the one she fears. Because when the other detective leaves, everything changes. We're seeing a whole lot of things we haven't seen up to this point. For example, the eye blocking, where she completely puts her hand in front of her face, right over her eyes. We eye block when we get information we don't want, or we see something we don't want to see, or there's a situation that we want to get away from, or we don't want to see. So that's what even blind people do that. I've told this story on here. I grew up, there was my dad's BFF, his best friend was Doc Watson, this blind guitar player. And he was, every time we tell something that was just horrible, and he would think there would be if he thought there was somebody in the room that shouldn't be hearing that horrible joke, he would cover his eyes, and he was blind. So it's got to be some inherent thing with the face or something, or part of the brain where right behind the eye, because he would always do that. He would always block his eyes when that started. We're seeing small illustrators here, because she's building up to, in other words, romance this other detective, because she hasn't talked to her. She's talked at her a whole lot, but she hasn't asked a whole lot of questions. And every time she does, that's when she starts locking down, and she locks down here. But she's trying to open up slowly but surely while she tries to befriend or romance this other detective. We're hearing fading facts for the first time. When she makes a big deal, and then everything she starts talking, and gets to the details, and starts getting quieter and quieter. That's what we do quite often when we're saying something we're not sure of, or we know is incorrect or deceptive. As we talk, it gets quieter and fades. That the quote unquote fact fades as you go along. Well, there's so much here. She's thought all of this out. She's thought every bit of this out. You're right, Greg. She keeps going back and hitting on things she's missed before. She goes through a list of things she's missed before in there. Starts giving details about things she wasn't asked about. She's bringing up all kinds of stuff. She's hedging everything, making sure that there are no weaknesses in that wall she's built, so the water can't get through, or the deception can't get through, so they can't get through and find her or find out she's lying to them. She eye locks constantly with this other detective. Just that hard stare at her, making sure that she's being believed. like we always talk about on here, one of the biggest myths about body language and human behavior and deception is people think when you lie to someone's lying to you, they'll break eye contact. Well, we know for a fact from studies that most people keep looking at you when they're telling you the truth. It's okay if you ask somebody a question, they look around for a second and go, well, I'm going to do something like that. It's okay when they look around and think about something. But when you ask someone a question and they just dead eye you and keep looking at you, that's their brain saying, we got to make sure this person believes us. Because if you get the impression they don't believe you, then you start adding what we call qualifiers to qualify that answer, to build it up, to stack it up, to make it stronger, to make you look more believable and non-deceptive as you're going along. There are so many things. This is so good. This stuff, these are so good, Greg. What a great catch. Yeah, when she's asked questions, she starts scratching her leg big time. And you're right, Greg. She does that whole on deck, batter on deck, batter up, rubbing her legs. These are all classic cues and tells we're seeing here for deception. It's wonderful. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah. Look, there's that moment where that ankle now has disappeared right underneath her, well protected now. Interesting, Scott, that the interviewer there is mirroring that as well. I don't think that's by accident at all in any way. Some really nice mirroring going on. And I think we're seeing what's lovely about seeing these interviewers and the subject is not only will the interviewers mirror each other in order to lock into a position and sustain a position together, but they'll also choose to lock in with the subject as well at the right time. That ability to be adaptable purposely in those moments of stress, because this is stressful for the interviewers, maybe not as much as it is for the interviewee, but it's stressful for them as well. There's potentially a massive crime committed here, is my expectation or small understanding of this. And so there's stress all around. So look, all the behaviors that we talk about here, many of you will be going, yeah, but I do that. But I sit on my ankle now and again. But I'm kind of erratic with my gestures now and again. And you are. You are now and again. And some of you go, no, I'm kind of like that all the time. Well, yeah, all the time when you're not being questioned for a crime. Okay, so put yourself in this situation here, knowing that you have done nothing. You know zero about this. You know zero about this, and maybe, your child is lost to you, or somebody you love is lost to you. Well, are you doing those behaviors all the time? Are you erratic for the next 3 hours? Or do you lock into a very clear, consistent behavior, which has a very clear, consistent objective to it of getting this thing sorted out? Well, she's not in that right now. Look, here's one of the behaviors that you might be able to say, yeah, but I do that. Okay. She's keeping her resources super close to her. There's the plate, there's the notes, there's the can of Coke, there's the bottle of water, there's everything. The phone goes right next to her. Everything is super close in what I would say is a very cluttered way. Now, you might go, oh, but I live in a bit of clutter and I keep my stuff close to me. Yeah, that's okay. But would you be doing it there? Well, you don't know what you'd be doing there. But here's what we do know is she is doing that. She's accepted, looks like some kind of food, 2 types of drink. She's got notes with her. She's put those notes close to her. She's taken out her phone. She's put that close to her. All of this seems very incongruent. I mean, Chase and Greg Scott will undoubtedly know, look, if you're in an interrogation system, you take what you can get immediately. If somebody says, hey, have water, great, I'm drinking the whole bottle. I'm taking it all because they may not offer it again. But she's not in that kind of situation. So why is she going, yeah, I'll take the Coke, I'll take the drink, I'll take the sandwich, I'll get out my notes, I'll get out my phone, I'll sit on my leg, all in this bunched up, cluttered way? It begs belief. And so therefore, at this point, I'm just not believing anything that's going on here, and I don't even know what's going on here, and I don't believe it because of these clusters of behavior, which each and every one of you will be able to pick on some of those behaviors and go, I do that now and again, or I do that all the time. But do you do all of those things when in that kind of situation there? I would say if you're guilty, yeah, you probably do. If you're guilty, you probably do all those behaviors. That's all I got on that one.
The eyewitness is you.
After you guys left Petco, so did you buy something there that time, or?
The second time, yes.
Okay.
And I know she kept asking me about what was Gannon doing, what was he, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to say this about getting back.
Okay.
So everyone has been, about this whole thing about camera footage and this happened because we didn't see this or didn't see this. So I'm very sorry.
What do you mean, everyone?
So, my whole family is being harassed. My mom is being threatened to be killed. My daughter is being stalked. That's why it took me a while to get here, because I had to put some safety measures in for her own well-being.
Okay.
And my family from back home is being threatened. People are saying they're sending people after them.
Okay.
All those things. So, there's always a world of people making situations and saying, let's be a good person, but then threaten someone else.
Okay.
And so being aware of that's what was going on. So in between all that and all these people were sending me messages that people were saying and blah, blah, blah. I didn't respond to any of them. During all that, there was something along the lines of someone checked neighbors 2 doors down or something, camera footage, and never saw anyone do this or that. I don't know, specifics. But my point behind telling you that is, if this is what you guys, and I'm not saying this is what you're basing stuff on, if this is what you're basing stuff on, is in this day and age, timelines, security, things like that, you will see on somebody's security, Gannon and I run to the car at 10 something that morning and be returning at 2 something.
Okay.
So I remember specifically in the truck, I pulled it right in front of the ring. And
Your ring?
Yes, but we don't have a subscription.
Okay.
But according to these neighbors who can see all the way to the truck every day, they should be able to show you during those time frames that we run in, we run out, he runs back in, or whatever.
Okay.
And then,
so you leave around 10 something, and then you get back around 2 something.
I feel like it was 2:35, 2:25, 2 something.
Okay.
Because I knew I had to be back in time to do a couple things, and then I knew Lane would be coming there, I knew Harley would be getting off work, yada, yada, yada.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.